Good morning once again, and in this series again we have ventured into this second session today. I hope and you have been enjoying these sessions. Hope and it's going to be supportive for you. And once again, thank you very much for being with us. And today, now in this session, what we are going to discuss is we have finished class 6 and 7. Now we are going to talk something about class 8 and 9, and along with, and we have some things that we discuss is assessment tools and assessment regarding assessment also. So to discuss these things with me, along with me on the panel, to my left, Dr. K. Srinivas Reddy is here, and he is a very good practicing teacher, and he is from Warangal district. And of course, next to Srinivas Reddy, Vasundhara is there. She is from Karimnagar, and she has come here to discuss the class 9 activities. And of course, and after Vasundhara, and Raghuram is there, and who is going to talk something about the assessment tools and assessment. So I think, in this series, and you have been understanding what our attempt is, the hope, and it would be useful for you in your classroom processes. Thank you very much, and not to waste much time, and I request Srinivas Reddy to take over the session and talk something about the supporting activities as we have already discussed in the class 7 regarding class 7, 8. Over to you, Srinivas Reddy.
Yeah, thank you, Mangareddy sir. Yeah, hi viewers. I welcome for the orientation program on English. Yeah, basically we know well, you know pretty well about the pandemic situation, which made us away from the classes and the textbooks for the teachers and the students for the nearly 1.5 years. So here I would like to, the SCERT has given digital content through channels, simultaneously digital worksheets also provided, but whereas in this academic year nearly 30 to 40 days of the lessons were telecasted, whereas no technology replace the physical teacher. I think you know it pretty well. Yeah, in this connection, from the first onwards the schools started. In this situation, this program is initiated by the SCERT. In this regard, I would like to discuss the activities which are prescribed. I do not go away from the discourses oriented pedagogy, and in inclusion with, I would like to provide some activities related to class 8. Teachers, yeah, really we are much worrying about our students, because actually the barrier is the reading, whereas in earlierly the main stream classes also going on, we feel, and even every teacher throughout the state suffer with the reading activities, and the reading, that means the struggling readers. In this connection, earlierly it was nearly 20 to 30% of the students were there, but at this time they were increased. But how to cope up with them? How to cope up with them is it has become a big problem for the teachers. Okay, here I would like to suggest a few activities in this regard. Okay, if we take the lesson, the first unit, every lesson has a face sheet. Later we have the reading text. If we take the face sheet text, it is called just a little bit of graphical reading. That means we observe only the pictures there. Okay, by observing the picture, we need to elicit what is in the minds of the child.
Yeah.
Okay, to elicit those words or phrases or sentences from the minds of the children, we need to provide an opportunity for the children. In this regard, yeah, what do we do actually? That means we ask the children to observe the picture carefully, and in a spontaneous manner we need to elicit the responses from the child. Later we go, that means the teacher asks the children very simple phrased or word mannered sentences to elicit them. Later, if for the high professional, that means a child who is able to read the text, just the children will provide us a little bit in a sentence manner also. In this way, the step by step, the answers are to be elicited from the minds of the children for the face sheet. But to get that an activity, what do we need to do? That means we ask the children to identify what you observed in the picture first of all. Okay, for every because the children who are in the cities may be fluent in English, maybe or may not be, and for the rural children, they, for example, if they didn't focus to the language English, they may provide the answers in their regional language. Okay, so we do not abstract them, but we need to accept it, and we need to, as a teacher, we need to megaphone what they uttered, what the teacher has elicited the words, and we need to megaphone and write all the words which were elicited from the face sheet. They must be written on the blackboard. Okay, after eliciting all kinds of words or phrases or sentences from the minds of the children, they must be kept at one area and be created in the forms of sentences by relating the words. Just we have the bridging of activity in the earlier mainstream classes. In the similar manner, it will be discussed in this way. I think this is a kind of suggestion, and I think almost all the teachers are practicing these things.
Even the sentences also we need to elicit from the students.
Yes, yeah. Obviously the person who is able to read the text, they can provide the answers in the sentence manner, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in this way, we elicit the words, phrases, or the sentences manner. We can elicit the response from the minds of the children and be written in the form of a. If we add all those sentences, it becomes a description. Little bit a description in this way. Okay, I would like to suggest the activity from the face sheet in this way. And major problem arrives with the reading text. Okay, for the reading text, I would like to provide because I do not want to go with the deviator from the discursive oriented pedagogy. Actually, basically the child has to read the text first of all, because our problem starting from here onwards. The children, that means nearly 50 to 60% of the children are not able to read the text at present the situation. So I suggest you here, that means as a teacher, we need to read the text, we explain the words, and we ask the children to write whatever the difficulty words they find from the text, they are to be identified and they are to be written on the blackboard first. And in this way, we elicit the words from the text, written text, and they are to be written on the blackboard. And okay, this is the task for first of activity, and the teacher needs to be made into segregation syllabically and with a proper pronunciation, because actually means we do not provide the phonetic transcription here, because this is called that means we are making the children to read the words first of all. If the child can able to read the words first of all at first, yeah, they can comprehend and they can go with the other activities also simultaneously. So I would like to suggest to you identify, for example, in the class first unit we have a word, unexpectedly a word is there. Okay, in this way just we can segregate with the syllabical with the phonic sound x, unexpectedly. In this way it is a polysyllabic sound word. Okay, just in this way if we segregate them, the child can trigger to the word how the teacher is pronouncing that one. In this way we can provide that means in this way we can provide the students little bit better manner they can understand here in this way, and a proper pronunciation is also needed there. Okay, this is the first activity I would like to suggest here. Next one, okay, that means a reading comprehension, to elicit the reading comprehension academic standard. For example, if we take a paragraph which consists of 5 to 6 sentences, generally obviously we prepare nearly 5 to 6 questions as a teacher. I think these are not enough. That means to elicit those 5 to 6 sentences as an answer, as a teacher we need to create many more questions, more than 5 to 6 questions, to make comprehend the child well. In this way, that means according to my view, it can be possible to create nearly 10 to 12 or 15 questions also possible to create. If we create, that means if we give an opportunity to at what angle the child can answer that one, okay, it will be better comprehension. In this way, create as many questions as possible. This is a second kind of activity I would like to provide. And one more, that means that the
so
child.
do you have a less time? Can you just switch over
Yes.
this possibly? Because,
Okay.
we need
Yes.
to discuss
Okay. But one more activity I would like to suggest you, that the running dictation activity, because it due maintaining the COVID norms, running dictation means a class is to be segregated into 2 parts, and able professional a child will utter the word, a child will pass on the word to the other group. In this way, just if we pass on the words to the one person to another person, the mediator who is eliciting uttering the words go on to the other side, and the other side a student write the words. In this way, that means the first child reads the words, the second child who is passing the words also read the child, and a person who is writing the word child also can utter the words. In this way, the reading becomes the spelling and simultaneously the words utters as many times as possible. In this way, the turns comes for the both the group people, and finally, how do we know that who read well? That means the group people who created, that means who wrote well, and the child who that means lesser mistakes were written, then he will be treated as the winner of that activity. Okay, in this way I would like to suggest for the 3 activities for the reading comprehension. Just if we go further in the vocabulary and the creative expressions. Okay, so in the similar manner for the vocabulary activities, the same kind of activity is to be taken, and simultaneously after eliciting the words from the reading text, just we ask the children to identify the whatever the activities we have in the vocabulary way, that means antonyms, synonyms, compound words, phrases, and like the activity whichever we have in the textbooks. Okay, all those are to be just initially be given as an exercise, and by pronouncing the words and by providing antonyms and synonyms, it can be better for the activity. Okay, yeah, in this way the vocabulary activities will be taken into consideration. Just if you go for the creative writings, yeah, it is a big problem for the teacher, and to making collaborating all the readable and unreadable child in a comprehensive manner. Just let us discuss whatever the question is to be given there. For example, from the lesson 1, write a possible conversation between Gopi and Kamala about not writing the letters. For example, just I took a small conversation from that.
Can you speak something about the class 8? That you have come here to suggest some activities in the class 8.
Yes.
Yeah. Any directly? Can you just go through the class 8 and speak something about it?
Yes. Yes. That's only the activity which was taken from the class 8 from the first unit, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Write a possible conversation between the Kamala and Gopi about not writing the letters. That means we actually, as a teacher, we need to discuss the situation in clear manner. That means to comprehend the situation very well. In this way, even for the low proficient learner also can have some idea about in their minds. Then we go on and eliciting the words, and we go on writing the features of the conversation, whatever the targeted discourse identified there. And in this way, one by one, just we can add on the features of the conversation, and we ask the children to write on their own first of all. Later, after getting refinement, it can be possible to write a creative activities, sir.
Very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Srinivas Reddy, that you have come here to discuss and supporting activities, and you have talked about this whole process also. In fact, once again,
yes,
it is
sir.
Replenishing something, and a very good suggestion that you have made here. And now, I request Vasundhara, and I think she has come with some supportive mechanism to discuss here present here regarding class 9. I request Vasundhara to take over the session, please. Over to you, Vasundhara.
Thank you very much, sir. Hello everyone. I hope you are all waiting for the activities, and you are in the mainstream of teaching. So I hope you are enjoying the teaching nowadays. And coming to me, I am presenting today for 9th class. Friends, as we know, teaching the action plan for 6th, 7th, 8th is completely different from 9th class. It is because 9th class students are so special, because today's 9th class is tomorrow's, that means next year 10th. So it is a need of the moment to focus not only on the basics of 9th class, but also we need to make them comfortable and make them prepare for the next 10th level. So it is a big challenge before the teachers of English as well. So I have taken some of the learning outcomes and the academic standards, so that we can go one by one.
Yeah, targeting learning outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
So learning outcomes and academic standards. At the same time, we talk about the prerequisites and what to do. So, okay. So when we talk about the academic standard, reading comprehension, what do we expect the student to do? The learning outcomes that we expect from the student is, the student should be able to read and comprehend the reading text, and the student should be able to answer the questions related to the reading text. So further, as we have come to, we have seen a lot of learning gap in most of the students, we cannot expect all the students to come up with the same level. So what do? I expect at least some of the students who need a lot of help, at least they should be able to read the words. And some students will be there who can read the words, but they cannot comprehend. And some students will be high proficient. So what do? They need just the motivation of the teacher. So we have to keep in mind all the needs of the students, and we need to plan our activities. And coming to the prerequisites of this learning outcome, and the prerequisites are, students should be able to read and comprehend the vocabulary, and they should be able to make meaningful sentences. Here we cannot expect all the students to come up with grammatically perfect sentences. Just at this level we can allow them to come up with their meaningful sentences. So let's discuss about the action plan and some of the activities which are suggestive for the 9th class. The first and foremost suggestive activity that we have been practicing, and that is transacting the face sheet and pictures from the lesson. For example, if we take the first lesson, the first unit, humor, and if we talk about the first lesson, the snake and the mirror, we have a wonderful face sheet, so that leads to the lesson, and we have 3 pictures. As the lesson is a narrative, we can elicit a lot of vocabulary from the face sheet and 3 pictures. What do we elicit? For example, we already know, the teachers already know the vocabulary and the important phrases and keywords from the lesson. So those, keeping in mind all those things, if we can transact and if we can elicit all the words, making use of the pictures, it would be when the child reads the text, he feels familiarized. So he feels that the familiar words occurred in the reading text, and he feels easy, it would be very easy for the student to comprehend and respond to the questions of the teacher. So, and not only this, we can frame some sentences. So, taking the help of the, for example, we have extracted the words and phrases as mirror, kerosene lamp, summer night, etc. from the face sheet and the pictures. We can also ask students to come up with some sentences, framing of sentences, and we can also ask students to guess the story. What difference did you find from the first picture to the second picture? So, what is the change and what could be the story? So, like that, guessing also makes the students, even we can ask them to come up in their mother tongue and megaphone and write the whatever the response we receive, those words and phrases we can megaphone and write on the board, so that students feels happy and interactive. And the next step that I would like to suggest is generating subtext. This we already have been using, but let's focus on it now particularly. For example, let's take the reading chunk from the lesson, has a snake ever coiled, to beside the mirror. So, by posing questions from this reading chunk, how could we develop the subtext? Let's see that. Now, let's frame some questions. What is the story about? The story is about a doctor. So, we ask the students that question and we write on the board. And the next question is, what time of the year was it? It was a hot summer season. And where did he have meal? It was at the restaurant. He went to the restaurant and had his meal. And next question, why did the doctor light a kerosene lamp? Because the house was not electrified. Not only these questions, we can ask many types of questions like, how could you say that the house was not electrified? As there is a kerosene lamp lighted, we can say that the house was not electrified. So, like that, framing questions, eliciting answers, megaphoning them. So, like this, all the keywords we can make it into a subtext.
So, Vasundhara, just a minute, because this is the same process that we have been taking up as an experienced teacher on the field. Can you suggest some more in this present scenario? What actually this program is different from this as usual? Can you suggest something about to create the subtext? Any other activities that you would suggest to the teachers, so that they will be use those things in their classroom scenario?
So, actually, why I am stressing on subtext is that so many of the students, they are not able to come up with the vocabulary.
Yeah.
So, when the students
creating subtext is good.
Okay.
It is the pedagogical implication.
Yes.
To create the subtext, any other suggestion that you wanted to make over here
Okay,
for
sir.
the benefit of the viewers, teachers?
Yes, sir.
Out of your experience.
Yes, sir. So, how to create a subtext? We can take the help of the the keywords, objects, persons, characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, persons, characters, and also important events also, what has happened. And even we can make a series of events like mind mapping through this subtext. So, the vocabulary we developed, and next we developed the subtext, that we change it into the mind map. So, it becomes an input to students, so that when they write any creative expression, that would help them to frame sentences, not only sentences, but also they would come up with some more expressions also.
I think here one suggestion we can make here, so because everything we cannot go, we can give some sort of suggestive activities that children can take up at home for the paucity of time. Then the teacher can assess those things, and I hope creating subtext, and we can design our own kind of thing, so that we'll give a space to the children to do something at home and it can be reviewed. I hope this is a additional thing. So I'm just, what I'm trying to ask you is in the process still, if you have anything, and you can just suggest, otherwise, and just we'll move to another slide. Okay, right.
Okay. And for creating subtext, we can take the names of the characters, objects, places, events, reasons, etc. And now if we can make a mind map of series of events, as it is a narrative, it is very easy for us to create some sentences. So we elicit from the students, and if we can list out all the series of events, then it would be useful in for example, when we go for creative expression while story writing. So we could make use of all the series of events that already has been given by students, those they can make use of it and write a story. So for that, and also for description of the event, for that also it could be useful. And coming to the grammar, as we have been practicing, grammar is not separately told, it is just inbuilt. So the thing is that we ask the students to do the exercises, we just give a description of it, and then we ask the students to do the activity individually, and after that editing, which is a whole class activity, there we can identify the mistakes of students, and we can teach them in the whole class activity, then it would be somewhat useful.
Good.
And coming to the creative expression, from the first unit we can make a lot of questions out of creative expression. For example, story writing. So that already we have supported them with the material, all the text, so that we can make use of. And next, coming to the conversation question. So conversation between homeopath and a friend when he reaches his friend's home at night. So what thing do? We elicit ideas. So we elicit ideas, what could be the conversation between the homeopath and his friend. So we can make use of the role play method, and what could have happened, and eliciting the expressions, and accepting those which are apt to the content and going forward. So like that, conversation and role play together can make that process fruitful, I think. And the next thing, diary entry. So diary entry, children feel somewhat difficult to tell about their own expressions. So diary entry of the homeopath. Suppose we in the role play, a student is there who is performing the role of the homeopath, and there is a friend's character also. So we ask them to tell what they feel at that level. Then we can ask them to write whatever they have told and the form of the diary. So and we tell the format of the diary also. So in that way, and I suggest that in creative expression, those creative expression questions which are related to one another. For example, we take the second lesson, games and sports. There we could ask students to come up with a portfolio of this Milestone, and then we can ask them to write the biographical sketch. So these two, as these two are related, so we can link up these two creative expression questions.
So good. Now, because you have been into the classroom already, some days have been passed on, and what is your experience? What is the problem that you are facing at this level, class 6, maybe a class 8 level, and do you face any problem? Are you facing any problem? And can you suggest something that out of your experience?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So students are coming up enthusiastically nowadays. So, but the thing is that some students are high proficient, but some students they have some learning gap, and what I suggest is through making use of the ICT tools, we can attract the students, making them involved in the transaction process. So making the learning environment attractive also plays a vital role.
Yeah.
So I have been using that, making use of the videos about the lessons, songs, as even for 6th, 7th classes also we did.
Yeah.
So those
The whole idea of this program is to make the children to into the track, you know.
Yeah.
So that is the idea that the teachers can do your own kind of activities that are suitable for your children, because the whole idea is to make them onto the track. This is the program that we are presenting for that purpose. Again, I hope Srinivas Reddy also, can you suggest something, because as a teacher, because you have been into the field,
Yes,
tell
yes.
me anything, that what is the present scenario, how the children are facing the problem, and one or two suggestions that you wanted to make.
Yeah, earlierly just I gave some activities related to the basically how the children are facing the problem at the school premises. The reading strugglers have become increased. Okay, that means to make them to read the text, just I have suggested three ideas. Not only those, that means always that means we should create the English class environment. That means providing the pictures and providing the charts where necessary, and creating mind maps related to the topics. If we paste all those things in the classroom situations, then it becomes easy for them to identify when they enter the classrooms, and they can observe always the things. Just repetition of everything, it becomes a perfect child in every aspect. Okay, yeah, in this way just I would like to suggest just one or two activities in this way, sir.
Yeah, that's good. Nice. So now in fact our pedagogy suggests everything, in fact, because
Yes.
there is some I mean something has happened, to fill up the gap. We have bridging gap activities also. If we can go those things also to make the children into our academic scenario. That's also you can I hope that would be very always like they are I'm ever ready to do those things also. I hope these things would certainly help to you to make the children into this confidence. Now when this we are talking about only the classroom transactions, and now it is not only that, again the assessment is also part and parcel of it. This is a very important area, in fact. In fact, we also at this pressure, assessment is, and suggestions are very good, because how best we assess and what are the tools that can be discussed now. Hope and you have been doing, and then the scheme the Madhavi has already expressed where we need to go with this formative assessment and summative assessment, and the future, how we are future ready for this. And now I request Raghuram to discuss on those lines. I hope he is going to talk about the tools along with this assessment at this juncture. Over to you, Raghuram.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. When we come to the level of assessment, and it is always linked with learning experiences as well as instructional objectives, and in this triangulation, and even in the present scenario, we have adopted CCE, which stands for Continuous and Comprehensive Assessment. We are not saying evaluation, rather assessment is a very broader term, and we are using assessment, and assessment is done at every level, and assessment is done taking care of various aspects in the classroom. So at this moment we are doing assessment at two levels. One is formative and the other one is summative. The purpose is very clear, and please have a look at the slide. Right, first one. Right. So formative assessment is conducted during the process of teaching, and it is through observation of students' responses, their engagement in classwork, notebooks, assignments and other written works. So whatever the children do in the class, can be considered as a source of assessment, and it will be conducted by the teacher during the instructional. Yeah, we know very well next month we are going to administer formative assessment, and when we can, how can we assess? Please have a look at the slide. Right.
Yeah,
That's better. So, and the teacher observes and records the children's progress and as well as learning gaps. So, formative assessment is not just for the students, but also for the teachers, but also for us, and it helps us to plan our classroom proceedings in a better way, so that it will be fruitful to better and more fruitful. And FA or formative assessment is for learning, and okay, we can call it assessment for learning and assessment of learning, right? And so what are the academic standards, subject specific, and as far as English is concerned, listening and speaking or oral presentation, and listening and listening comprehension and speaking with thinking and even confidence, and the confidence in our speech is manifested in the fluency. So, fluent reading and fluent speech, and reading with comprehension and reflecting upon the text, read and reflect, and writing. So, writing is very important, and here it can be guided as well as creative writing. So, at the beginning, and we can take up guided writing, and it can be followed by creative writing. Please have a look at the slide, right? And vocabulary and language elements, which includes grammar, and appreciation, which is associated with poetry. So, the techniques and tools for formative evaluation, and the children's learning process is continuously checked and monitored, and in formative evaluation. And we have some tools which we need to observe and record the different types of behavior. So, the difference is formative assessment, as far as FA is concerned, we are free, and we can administer FA at our convenience, at our desire. And when you come to summative assessment, it's always fixed, and we can say it is one way, it is a standardized mode of assessment. So, in formative assessment, and what academic standards can be taken into consideration, the choice is in our hands, and we can choose among all the 6 academic standards, and usually we administer FA, and we call it slip test or rather flash test. So, here reflections in the classroom, and the projects and experiments and notebooks or students' works, not just notebooks, and even a slip test. So, daily observation and oral work, and how the children perform in the classroom, and how they respond to the questions, and how they take part in classroom activities, and how they come out with their opinions, and how they take part in all curricular activities, and everything matters in formative assessment. And have a look at the
here
slide,
can
please.
you suggest something regarding the formative assessment, because this scenario is different, and it is not as we have previously, but any in tune with this formative assessment to this context, can you have any suggestion that
Sure.
the teachers can understand?
Sure.
But because we discuss this formative assessment
Certainly.
right now, you finish it off and we'll go to the next
Yeah.
one.
Let me talk about the components of FA first.
Yeah.
Okay. Please have a look at the slide. So, these are the areas, and projects and experiments and slip tests and even children's written works. Yeah, we know after a long gap, now the children are coming to our classes. So, the tools that we select for formative assessment must be quite interesting. For example, we may give a small context, and we may ask the children to come out with their responses, or maybe some language games. And as far as oral presentations are concerned, and you can take up some puzzles also. And as just now Srinivas has discussed, even dictation can be taken as a tool for formative assessment, and even identifying some silent letters and even rhymes. Okay, taking part in short debates, and even working up, writing of small descriptions and short conversations, and any language game. So, we don't have, there is no hard and fast rule that this particular component is meant for formative assessment. So, any response or any kind of participation of the child can be taken into account as far as FA is concerned. And projects also, we have to select the topic from the real life, and the availability and the interest of the children, and classwork. So, any work that the children do in the class, may not only just notebooks and even portfolio, or even some paintings or even posters that we do in the classroom, maybe graphical presentations. So, they can be taken up as classroom activities. And the slip test, this is actually, we do not call a slip test, it is a flash test. So, we have to announce, we have to declare the text unexpectedly. That is why it is called a flash test. And when we are designing a slip test, and we should account for the academic standards. And normally we prepare to slip test for 20 marks, in which we can select 3 to 4 academic standards, maybe reading comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, creative writing, and conventions of writing and all. And even we can take up listening and speaking also. So, we give a language game, or maybe a word ladder, or even word building, or building up more words, finding out more words within a word. For example, you can take a word like a fisherman, and we may ask the children to find out as many words as possible, or construct as many words as possible, taking the letters from the larger word fisherman, okay, or even take classroom, or even mind mapping. Maybe you can throw a particular word, maybe school, or maybe game, or a village. There we can ask the children to come out as many words as possible, and with that we may ask them to make small sentences. Even that can also be considered as a presentation, and we can use it in our assessment. So, this is very important as far as FA is concerned. So, now we believe that in the classes now gradually the children are coming out after a long gap, and since the reopening of the institutions, the children they have been trying to receive everything from the teacher, and after a long gap, now recently we are observing they are coming out with their oral responses, and now they are taking up short classroom works. So, we can use them, we can use these works for our assessment. And when we come to summative assessment, which is fixed. So, have a look at the slide. So, this is a fixed blueprint for summative assessment. Since we have already discussed that summative assessment is a quite standardized test. So, before that, as far as FA is concerned, all these areas, maybe oral presentations and reading comprehension, and even grammar, vocabulary, creative writing, and even conventions. So, at the beginning, and we can ask them to write shorter descriptions and short conversations, and maybe a profile, a small paragraph, For example, if you take class 8, there is a writing activity. So, first you can begin write a few sentences, or say a few sentences about your family, and then how joint family, how is a joint family different from a nucleus family. So, one idea. Or if you go to 9th class, and if you take the first test, the snake and the mirror, you can ask a narrative, and or describe the feelings of the narrator as soon as he saw the snake. And so, I can ask a question, an open-ended question, like is it important to pay attention to our handsomeness, or why do people spend a lot of time in front of mirrors? Is it correct? And some people may come, yes, it is correct, and why? And they come out with their likes, and some people may say no. So, we have to accept both. So, here very simple activities can be given to the students. And as far as assessment is concerned, the summative assessment in particular, class 6th, 7th and 8th, these 3 classes have one specific pattern, and whereas class 9 and class 10, these 2 classes have a specific blueprint or specific pattern for summative assessment. And as far as class 9 assessment is concerned, and it is nothing but a replica of class 10, we will discuss in the next session. And here I would like to pay attention to the tools in formative assessment, very important,
Yeah.
sir. So, these broad areas. So, when we come to reading comprehension and we have to give emphasis to lay emphasis on very simple questions, could be factual and inferential. So, factual, that's all the questions that begin with the WH word, who, when, where, what, why, how many, how much, like. So, we expect answer very precise or very brief answer, maybe 1 or 2 words or even a phrase, or to the max extent a sentence. That is very important. And at the next level we can go for reasoning or giving opinions or stating their views, etc. Right. So, and as far as grammar is concerned, and one specific thing which always drags the attention of the teachers or students is editing. So, how editing can be given? So, at the beginning and class 6th, 7th and 8th, we can underline, we can highlight the part, a particular part of the part or a segment of the sentence that needs to be edited, and even we can support the children. So, children, you please check this and check, is the word order correct, or is the sentence, is the word is properly used, or is the word form correct. So, these prompts really help the children to take up the activity with more interest. So, that can be done, and even when you come to transformation, very simple levels. For example, in class 8 we have question tags, very simple question tags, even joining the synthesis or joining the sentences with the proper linkers. So, at the initial level, such simpler activities can be given to the students, and so later we can go for clear transformation like voice or reported speech, degrees of comparison, and conditionals. So, as far as FA1 is concerned, let us give test items that are very simple, that can be attempted by all the children in the classroom, and our activities should be very interesting, and preferably they should be taken from the textbook. And even when you come to discourses also, shorter, very simple discourses. So, we believe narratives and descriptives are very basic discourses. So, we can ask them to come out with a simple description. For example, describe your family, or write a few sentences about your family, and do you like your family, why and how a family is secure. So, such things can be taken into account. And
right, Raghuram, and so we are just running short of time, okay. Because and you wanted to conclude it, Dr. Reddy wanted to say something about 1 or 2 points. Please, quickly.
Yes, sir, as we are discussing about the construction of the discourses, here I would like to suggest a small idea. Which at present the Ganapati Navaratralu is going on. If we give the regional celebrations to the children, because they know it well, they how to perform puja and how to immerse Ganapati, and the things whichever they come to know very easily, they are acquainted with those celebrations. They can, that means as a teacher, our idea is to make the children to speak out first of all. Whatever the things they know well. Okay, that means if we give an opportunity to the students to know things well, then they can create many more ideas. Then if the students are not in a position to create the language in English way, just we can megaphone it later. That means
it is something related to assessment. What you mean to say is let them speak something, and it comes under this only the formative assessment.
Because as a summative assessment for class 6th and 7th, we have 10 marks for the speaking skills also. Just means I would like to suggest for the summative assessment, if we provide an opportunity for the regional celebrations, whatever we celebrate at our homes or at our villages, whatever the things, and they can help, and it can be possible to assess the children's spoken fluency of language also, sir.
Good idea. Raghuram wanted to say something.
One more is to be discussed, and conventions of writing. So, broadly speaking, it is nothing but the use of punctuation. So, at the initial level, and we can work out with the capital letters and full stops and commas, and then we can go for quotation marks and even hyphen and all. And the known text will be given. First, the strategy is remove all the give the plain text, and the target is only using the capital letters, the simple activity. So, next breaking the sentences and give very simple sentences and ask the children to identify the breaks in the sentences, and by using full stop. We know very well every sentence begins with a capital letter and ends either with a full stop or a question mark or with an exclamation mark. So, at the second level, just the focus should be on capital letters and stops. And the third level, we can ask them to use capital letters, stops, and as well as commas. And the next level, you can add question marks and even exclamation marks, and finally quotation marks. So, even all the tools in conventions also, they have to be graded, and the children will do them very, very easily, I believe.
Yeah, that's a wonderful suggestion you have made. In fact, our pedagogy suggests always that any refinement should take in level wise, even in editing also goes with this level wise. The first is thematic and syntactic and semantic level, and of course finally it goes with this punctuation. So wonderful, because this is a very good idea that he has finally suggested. Anyhow, we are going to stop this session right now as the time runs out. Okay, thank you very much for viewers and teachers understanding the importance of the assessment also. At the same time, the class 8th and class 9 some activities, though our regular pattern is good. Additionally, if you wanted to do something, you have a freedom to do and make it possible and fit into this, have a pedagogical sensibility and go accordingly. And thank you very much for attending this second session also, and we are going to have another third session also within 5 minutes, and we'll be back. Thank you very much. Have tea and relish tea and come back, please.